The Evercade VS console has recently brought 3 games to us, with a new indie title hitting the home console each month. May's game of the month is the cute platformer Nessy the Robot. Like the previous game, Tapeworm Disco Puzzle, and all the upcoming 3 monthly games for the rest of the year, Nessy the Robot will be featuring on the Indie Heroes 2 collection cartridge that is set to release across both Evercade consoles, the VS and the handheld, at the end of 2022. Created as something of a solo project by Daniel T Gaming, and first released in 2020, this game is you controlling Nessy, a robot who bears a bit of a resemblance to the NES console itself, as you fight your way through different worlds full of zombies, slimes, and other enemies as you try to prevent them from destroying your home. Nessy and his friends live in Pixel Park, and the story is fairly bare bones, I'd say, but the gist is that a UFO arrives and the baddies are looking to take over Pixel Park and wreck your home. To help you out on your adventure, you've got something of a guide in Dusty the Bee. They'll give you some gameplay tips and some advice from time to time. However, as the game is fairly basic and straightforward in Nessy, they don't really show up too often, as I guess there isn't really too much additional knowledge to impart onto you. The game is broken up into levels of various different designs and styles, and you essentially jump into a warp hole to begin each level. Some of the levels include an ice stage, there's one set on Mars, there's one in a cafe, one in a super colourful brick world. There's quite a lot of variety to the stages, and it does keep things interesting. Each time you jump into the warp hole, there's really no telling what stage you're about to discover. The gameplay itself is pretty sound, and everything moves in a tight, fast-paced way. Controls are really simple, you use one button to jump and another one to shoot. Your projectile doesn't reach that far though, so you need to be fairly close to the enemies to take them out with it. One odd feature of the game is that when you do shoot the enemies, they don't tend to give out any kind of death animation. A lot of the time they just simply disappear upon being hit. It's a little bit unsatisfying for me, and at first I thought it was something that was kind of up with the game. I thought maybe it was a glitch or something like that. Boss battles also have this issue, where upon beating them, the game just shoots straight over to a course complete screen, and you don't actually get to see the foe that you've just been battling hit the deck. In addition to this, during the levels I did notice that a good chunk of the time I didn't actually need to attack the enemies at all. Oftentimes you can just blaze your way through the whole thing, either jumping over the enemies or just avoiding them altogether by going along a different platform or route. The levels themselves are all fairly short, with some of them like the cafe stage being an absolute breeze to storm through in no time at all. Based off of this, and the fact that you can just rush past the bad guys, it definitely seems like a game that could find some love among the speedrunning community out there. During stages there are dogs hanging about here and there that you can talk to, although I didn't really see any benefit to doing so. Equally, there's plenty of jewels that you can pick up while you go through the levels, but again there doesn't really appear to be any positive or negative reaction to me either picking them up or just completely ignoring them. Some kind of counter that would keep track of how many you picked up, along with maybe gaining some health back for having collected a certain amount of them, that would have made the jewels a bit more purposeful for me. It does seem strange that they're not really factored into the game in any meaningful way, considering there are also some quickfire bonus stages where you have to collect as many of them as possible in a brief window of time. Returning back to the boss battles, one awkward feature I noticed was that the game was really slowing down and performing a bit sluggishly during some of these. It at times meant I could get right next to the boss and just fire away while they moved really slowly, and I ended up with a couple kind of cheap victories that way. Adding to this, some of the bosses themselves can be rather odd things, such as a flying jug of water or a big green gas cloud. That's not to say I dislike this, it's not a slight on the game, it's just something that I thought worthy of pointing out as it is a bit odd. The final boss of the game is a bit more meaty, and I enjoyed the added challenge there as you have to do some quickfire platforming work to stay on the moving levels and keep yourself in the fight. After you've conquered the final boss, which you can do within about an hour of playtime, you do unlock a negative world mode. This gives the game a little bit more longevity as you can play through it again without checkpoints or scrolling. Some of the level designs have been tweaked a bit. If you lose a life in this mode, you're back to the start of the level, so it's more in keeping with some of the games from that NES era. My overall thoughts on Nessy now, and I'm going to go down the middle of the road and give it a 5 out of 10 score. It's a very quick game to get through, but I don't think I'm the target audience for it really. Similarly to Doodle World on the first Indie Heroes cartridge, this is a game that's aimed more at a younger player. The graphics and soundtrack are both attractive, colourful, and easy to look at and listen to. However, I didn't think the story was overly engaging, but I do appreciate that they added some context into the game, and it isn't just a generic platformer game bereft of any kind of background to what's going on or why you're doing what you're doing. I know this is mostly a solo project, so I don't want to be too harsh, but ways I would have improved on this title would have been to add some enemy death animations and some purpose behind all those jewels that you pick up. You could also have added some more levels, or just make the existing ones longer to flesh out the game some more and add some extra playtime to it. I don't think this is a title you should go out of your way to play, but it is a nice choice as a game of the month, and also I think it's a nice inclusion of the Indie Heroes 2 cartridge that's going to come out at the end of the year. It adds some variety as a quick-fire game you can have a little bit of a blast on, as well as offering a game that can appeal to some really younger players. So thanks for joining me for this review of Nessy the Robot. As of this recording, it's still available to play for free on the Evercade VS for around another 2 weeks or so. Let me know in the comments below how you found it if you have given it a play, and if you like this review, it'd be great if you could just leave me a little quick thumbs up to help the channel as it's trying to grow. Until next time, thanks for watching and take it easy.